Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, All Things Parenting. If you do not already know me, my name is Chieza Fukuza. I'm a social worker and I'm also a parenting enthusiast. The purpose of today's session is to talk about repairing relationships within the African context. I'm interested to hear what you all think about repairing relationships. Do African parents apologize? Do you think they could do better on this? Do you think they're doing really well? African parents, I don't want to make generalizations, but like on a very large scale, they're concerned about discipline, respect, which are very good aspects. Education, very good aspects, in my opinion. When you raise a child, you empower them. However, we want to build on those strengths, and become even more intentional, even more nurturing, and even more effective. So today I want to talk about repairing relationships within the African context. And I'll start off by saying, or rather by defining what repairing a relationship is. Repairing, I think, when you just look at the definition, it's fixing something. So what do you actually fix? You fix something that needs fixing, that has been broken. I think one thing I also want to highlight is within parenting, there is no perfect parent. The reason I say there is no perfect parent is that we are not perfect human beings. Every human being makes mistakes. And once we all accept the fact that we are not perfect human beings, we make mistakes, we treat ourselves with a lot more kindness, even within our parenting journey. So it's understanding that, okay, as a parent myself, I'll make mistakes. I will say things I'm not meant to say. I'm under a lot of pressure, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm dysregulated. I could yell and shout. Rare occasions where you do those. That shouldn't be a regular thing, but I'm talking about when you make mistakes, because we do not want to normalize harmful behaviors. I myself, there are times when I'm under a lot of pressure. Maybe I'm dealing with a lot of things from work. I've got a lot of responsibilities to juggle. I will raise my voice if I feel my son is not listening. And I know that yelling and shouting is very unhelpful. It's a fearful way to parent. I mean, even if the child is in the wrong, a child can be spoken to in a respectful way, and it's also about modeling that kind of behavior. So when I talk about repair a relationship, it's recognizing that I shouldn't have behaved in this particular way. I shouldn't have spoken in this particular way. So repairing isn't just about recognizing and finding ways to dismiss it. I think, in my opinion, when I talk about repairing a relationship, it's actually going to a child, acknowledging that, you know what, my son, I'm really sorry for the way I spoke to you. I shouldn't have yelled at you. I shouldn't have shouted at you. I was under so much intense pressure. Or even though you weren't listening to me, that does not justify how I communicate with you. Because as a parent, you have to be the one who stays regulated. You have to be the one who models um, how to communicate within relationships. And that then becomes the template in which your children take into the relationships to come. So it's also about teaching your children that when you make mistakes, you apologize. And like I mentioned earlier, in cultures where maybe respect is revered and it's a top down culture, that can also be viewed as a sign of weakness. But I think it's also about unlearning, scripts that we have in our heads to say, actually, apologizing is a sign of leadership. Fixing things, mending things, repairing relationships, I think is a major aspect for kids to learn at a young age, because nobody is perfect. We're not perfect. The other person is not perfect. It's also just about learning how to mend relationships. So even within those parenting styles, you can actually see that, okay, this parent never apologizes, and there's someone who never apologizes. You can actually see that they fit well within the authoritarian parenting style. They think apologizing is a sign of weakness. The child always has to fear them. The child always has to see them in this fearful uh, position where they're always within the right. And that then influences how those children show up in their relationships when they're also older, how they communicate with their partners when they're older. So it's also about learning all those things. So fixing isn't only about saying I'm sorry, or instead doing things such as cooking the child's favorite meal and not actually acknowledging. It's also about fixing and mending the hurt that that child felt when you spoke to them in a disrespectful way. It's also about mending that so that they can heal. Because let's face it, there is no perfect parent. But how you show up as a good parent, a good enough parent, a healthy parent, is fixing your mistakes. Saying, I'm sorry, how can we move forward from this? How can we prevent this from happening again? We both come up with solutions. So thank you for listening.